Hello and welcome to the first night of the Acorns To Oak Trees podcast. I'm delighted to announce tonight we've got local legend and local yoga teacher Amanda Macrae with us. Amanda, how's things?
Yeah, good, thanks, Scott. I like the introduction. You know, I think you're the only person who thinks I'm a legend, right enough. But I'm really pleased to be here, to be part of your starting of a podcast. It's a great topic, and you're a great man for the job.
Yeah, I think it's the right time to be starting it anyway. I think people's mental health's maybe starting to take its toll a wee bit now with the pandemic. Do you think people are starting
Definitely, Scott. I think, yeah, you're definitely right. You know, like we've all faced struggles with the COVID, and it's like toothache. We're all fed up of it now. You know, it's starting to kick in, and we've got the winter coming in, which is like going to be it's challenging for everybody anyway, but with this added pressure, absolutely.
I think it's a challenging time of year at the best of times. Winter, it's like the dark nights and dark mornings, and it's colder, and it's usually more vibrant in summer. So I think at this time of year people struggle more, on top of maybe not being allowed out as much. It'll maybe start to take its toll. But how do you kind of alleviate that problems, or do you have any sort of techniques or mechanisms to deal best with the...
Sure. So how do you mean, how would I alleviate it for myself?
Well, like if you're feeling kind of like, oh, it's dark, like I'm not getting to do as much as, like obviously, like if you're working kind of say 8 to 5 at night, you can't really get your swims in, like
Sure.
if you're, so stuff like that, like you need to counteract that almost. Do you know what I mean? So if you're feeling like, oh, everything's getting on top of me a bit, how do you feel that you alleviate that now with, you turn to your meditation or your yoga?
Sure.
Or...
Do you know what, like the interesting thing is actually it's like preparing yourself before you get to that stage. It's like making habits, it's having routines, practices that really help to know your own self, how you feel, so that you can prepare for that time ahead of time.
Yeah, so then when it does come around, you're ready then to bring it on, sort of thing.
Exactly.
And do you get people coming to you looking for one-to-one meditations or?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. More and more actually as I've gone on. And it's interesting because more and more, it's funny, like the one-to-ones, what people think of as yoga, more and more people are coming, nothing to do with as they think yoga. They just want like to talk, and they
just a release.
More people are saying, well, I don't want to do yoga, but I've got trouble with anxiety or whatever, can you help? And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah. I think people are looking for a way out now. Not way out, but they're looking just a release. Just talking, like talking can be a massive. You don't need to have. You maybe don't need to turn to like tablets and such. You talk to someone. If someone came here and I just turned the camera off and they said, oh, I'm not feeling great, maybe a bit of anxiety or depression. We just sat and spoke. Yeah. I'd almost guarantee they'd walk out here feeling like you said that yourself. You've had people that just came and spoke to you, and you say they turn up, they've got bags under the eyes, and they're kind of they're looking a bit drained. They leave you and they're like, they're vibrant, smiling.
Do you know, that's the thing I find the most amazing, because like it's not that particularly I don't think I do so much, but indeed people come in for a one-to-one and there's a bit of tiredness, a bit of lethargy, a little bit, and almost like 95% of people, they leave and they're like a wee sparkle back in their eye, they look a little bit lighter. It's just having that space. Actually, that's all that I offer, actually, is a space for that person to hear themselves, to be able to breathe fluently in that space, and to understand that feelings and emotions, what are feelings and emotions? They're just a cocktail of hormones that arise and pass. They arise and they pass.
Yeah.
So when we learn to just observe them, it's like, it's not so threatening.
It's just, it's not, people throw that name, that depression at you, but like, it's just a feeling, when you're feeling, if you get to feel, I'm feeling really good, I'm feeling really light, I'm vibrant, you don't question that, you don't think, is that something because I'm making me feel like that? So when you're having a day, you get out of bed, you wake up in the morning, you're in bed and you think, I'm not feeling too great today. Yeah. Why label it as, I'm depressed? Just, I'm not feeling so good. It's just, and as you say, that takes away from the, you've got depression sort of thing.
But then, like, part of our conditioning is like, that's the way we've been programmed to react to the day, and how, we've not been shown any other way. But when you learn some techniques, some practices and you go, oh, I feel really shitty today, I can't be bothered facing the world. You're going like, you know, sometimes in the past like, oh, it's too much, I can't cope, I'm just, you know, you're going to stay in bed. But then it gets worse. And then it just one layer on top of the other. So you sort of say, I can't be bothered because I don't want to go to work, you know, I don't like my job and I don't like, you know, the people I'm working with and my car's playing up, and you think of all these reasons. Whereas if you just learn to go, okay, one step at a time, I'm just going to get up out of bed.
Yeah.
My first thing, I'm going to have a glass of water, I'm going to hydrate myself. From there, then after your water, you say, well, I'm going to have a shower now, or, you know, whatever your routine
like
is.
stay in the moment.
Yeah.
Stay in the moment. Don't think like, oh, geez, I've got that to do tomorrow, or in 3 weeks' time I've got that. And because if you're feeling rubbish and you're feeling that weight on top of you, and you're thinking about something in 3 days' time that's putting more pressure on you, making you feel worse, well, what's the point? That's 3 days away.
Exactly.
In 3 days, you could be feeling a different person and think, oh, I'm ready to smash that. You know, what was giving me the fear a couple of days ago, you know? It's not about staying in, but as you say, it's about having tools.
Yeah.
It's about having the tools, like, I wake up today, I'm not feeling great, so I'm going to go and sit and do some breathing, or I'm going to have a wee meditation, and just little things that can slowly start to lift you out, you know. But obviously, you had a tragedy years ago.
Yeah, sure.
Then obviously, I take it, did your mental health take a bit of a...
Oh, absolutely. You know, like, I was really, really happy, contented, went on holiday, married. I had Anna, she was 20 months old, and it was a tragic accident abroad. You know, Andrew drowned, and you know, the shock and the horror, and it was the worst thing I've ever faced. And for the next 2 years, but well, even before that, like, so when I was with Andrew, and you know, I put on my extra layers from pregnancy, you know, so I was like squeezing into a size 16. And the truth of the matter is, I've said this to you before, I was really a size, like in clothing, say 18, but I was a 17. But you know, I was like, oh, I was getting into that 16. There's no way I was admitting that I was another size up. But in the space of like 3 months, I went from that size 16 down to size 6.
Jesus.
Just boom.
It's not healthy.
It wasn't healthy at all. And it wasn't because I was trying to do anything. I physically couldn't swallow it. It's a physical reaction to shock. And the interesting thing is that shock, you know, it's stress. Now we think of, like, people would understand, oh, of course that's a big stress, and you understand that that person is suffering. But we're all under that same hormonal release day by day, whether it's like you've got an email that you've got to do and you don't want to do it, you've got a bank statement that's not on the healthy side, you've got somebody chasing you for something. That's a stress. Now for me, 2 years after I was widowed, I had alopecia. My hair was falling out, big bald patches, and like I was on such a low ebb, because here's the thing, actually throughout my whole life I had low self-esteem. Now, I did. You know, if you'd seen me walking before I was with Andrew, I had really low self-esteem. Again, I'm sharing with you sort of locally that people know, but I had stuff going on in my life that was really, really difficult to deal with, that's not so public. But when I was married to Andrew, he was amazing, you know, like, honestly, if I go to the shops and I pick up biscuits, you know, it's buy one, get one free, and I'd say, he'd say, oh, you're such a great shopper. You know, you're really good. I said, oh, you know, Andrew, it was like buy one, get one free. But he was like, oh, no, but you spotted it. So he's building you up the whole time. He really built me up, you know. Yeah. So when I lost Andrew, I also lost this person who had really brought me to a new place of belief in myself.
Were you just numb after it for a while? Were you just kind of just felt like you were lost, just in that dark space?
Totally.
Just like,
Totally.
I don't know where, you know.
I honestly, there was I just didn't want to live.
Just like dead behind the eyes almost.
Honestly, I was like the Walking Dead, and it was like only because of Anna. I was like, well, I have to function. That was my reason to be here. For me, myself, I was like, I couldn't see any purpose. I couldn't see any point to any of it. So when alopecia came, I was like, I was really like, when I first seen it in the mirror.
How did you know that was linked to the death of Andrew?
Yeah, when I found out the alopecia, I went to the doctor, and they were like, it was 2 years after he died, and he says, well, actually it's very common for 2 years after a major stress for alopecia to come out.
All right.
So it's a kind of like it's the drip, drip, drip effect of stress. And this is its manifestation. You know, we hear about this word of manifestation. This is how it shows itself. And this is the body saying it cannot cope with the amount of hormones that I was releasing. It can't.
All right.
It can't produce. Not produce. It can't process those hormones. So something's got to give.
Something's got to give, yeah.
And like for different people, it'll be different things. For me, it was my hair. So then I was like, oh, right. So, and they were like, stress, you got to get your stress levels down. And I was like, oh, you know, how do you do that? How do you do that? So then I heard that there was yoga on in the village. And I was like, oh, yoga, like they say that was really good for stress.
Oh, the local class you went to
Local
start
class,
off,
yeah.
was it?
But when I got there, I went up to the community centre and said, oh, sorry, like it's not on anymore. The teacher's moved away. I was like, no way. And they were like, but there is a hands-on healing class and meditation. And I was
for
like,
you to heal other people or to learn how to heal people?
It was just like hands-on healing for, I think, for yourself.
Oh, right,
you know? And I was like, oh, no way. Like, you know, that's a bit woohoo, that's a bit like out there. No thanks, I said, and headed off back to the car. And I was like, halfway back to the car, and I was like, well, what else am I going to do? Get back in, find out what it's about. And so I rolled up, signed up for the class, rolled up, and when they talked about hands-on healing, I was like, if I put one hand on top of the other, it's going to generate a heat. It's going to be a heat.
And then you could do this, So
I was like, anyway, I'll go. But when I went, I don't know, I was like, wow.
Was that the start?
That was the start.
For you,
that was definitely
a spiritual journey,
Well, I mean, I suppose I started my spiritual journey earlier on, you know, but then I'd sort of forgotten about it because I was happy, I was contented. I had no reason to be seeking, so to speak.
To look for something now.
But then it was like, yes, this was rekindled, and this was like, I think the big thing was like, I'm living life as you're meant to, you know, going to work, doing the stuff, paying my bills, and yet it's all gone. The life is gone, and it's like, so then I started questioning things and started thinking, well, tomorrow's not guaranteed, and what is my purpose, and what do I want to do, and then, you know, things, I started making changes. I started dabbling, investigating different things. And
Did you find it a bit uncomfortable or daunting dabbling into that stuff, or were you quite like, oh well, I've got nothing to lose here, why don't I just go and try it?
You know, I wasn't daunted by anything because I was just exploring as I was going. But like, so at some point, I just remembered eating an ice cream. Now this is how the strangest thing, but I remember eating an ice cream, and I was driving the car and I passed people and I thought, what must they think of me eating an ice cream? Like I'm supposed to be in mourning, you know?
Really?
And I felt really guilty, you know. And I was like, this is, you know, they must think I'm a terrible person.
It should look like I'm mourning.
But then on the other side of that, one day, I smiled, not just a pretend smile. I actually laughed at something from inside. And I was like, wow, that felt good.
Yeah.
I had a feeling of laughing.
Yeah.
Not just trying to laugh for the sake of the bear.
Fake smiles.
Fake smile.
But you can't live in mourning forever. Like you obviously still love Andrew and you miss him. And how long ago?
So Anna's 24, so 22 years.
Was it 22
years ago?
Yeah,
wow, that seems mad.
Gee whiz. So then obviously after that you found your kind of, your hand healing, and then obviously that kicked onto you got to yoga then.
You know, I was still, even then, I was like, I was very, very lightly going to this class, but funny enough, that teacher then moved away. So I says, oh, no worries, like,
not again, no.
Yeah, I said, like, no worries, I'll do it at my house, because I knew there was something good in it. And I met another person who'd done self-awareness classes, and she was Dutch. And she had like really different ideas. And I was like, wow, I never thought of that. Like, really? And how does that work? And so I was like, oh, come round to the house. And before she came, I was doing this meditation class. But like I was saying to you before, we were having wine and nibbles. I was taking a class, but I was like serving wine and crisps and, you know, all that.
Session.
You know, so it was just a very, very scratching the surface.
Of course.
But then as I started learning and as I started understanding and thinking, wow, they're sitting in this. Because ultimately what I was starting to see and realise by working with other people, fundamentally we're all the same. We've all got a sadness, we've all got this bit that we think we're not good enough, everyone else is better, everyone else's life looks like just more better than ours. And then you realise it's about how I think, it's about how I think of myself, how I think of others. It's this mind.
Yeah, but it's you, it's like you're your soul. It doesn't matter what you think of other people or what other people have or what they don't have. That's not going to influence you in here, you know. You do your work and you do what makes you happy, and that is your yoga and your meditation, you know. And we've all got kind of traumas and troubles. Like for instance, we were doing a teacher meditation training today, and there were 70 of us on the webinar, and it was about rewiring the brain. And he was picked 2 people to go back to either like a habit or a loss or a trauma, and he was going to take us live through that meditation in front of everybody else after you had told your story. And I got selected as one of the 70, and I was sitting there thinking, oh, this will be no bother at all if I get picked. And then the second you get picked, you're like, and the sweats come on, the shakes come on, and I went back to like a trauma from my childhood. Like my dad was always driving lorries, and my mum didn't keep the best at times, and I kind of would shut myself off as a little boy in my bedroom by myself. And I didn't even know that was a trauma, you know. I just used to think, I just got my bedroom and play with my tractors and lorries and play with my toys, and only now I'm starting to realise that was a trauma because I kind of went through without a role model. And now I think at this stage of my life, and I'm like, right, I'm going to start this journey and I'm going to go full on at that, and then I'm going to go full on at something else, and people are like, Scott, just slow down, maybe like don't take a bit of advice, or maybe not time. I'm like, nah, it's my way or the highway, because that's all I ever knew. I didn't have someone to be like guide me when I was younger, so now it's coming to my adulthood, you know.
And the key there was like, Scott, like when you start thinking about it and you remember it and you got that boom 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 boom, and like you said, the breath shortens. So this is like a really key learning, whether it's for meditation, it's for yoga, for any kind of mental health awareness. It's to observe that breath, to notice that breath. And like certainly my meditation, I've learned the technique I work with. We're taught how to respond rather than react. So so much in our lives is our reaction. So say somebody, you're driving along and someone cuts in front of you, and you're like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, and you're tick, 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 and you're really mad. Right, and you feel like mad inside. You tensed up. Right, so that's a reaction. It's a normal reaction. We all do it. But once you start learning these techniques, somebody cuts in front of you, you go, 100%,
yeah.
And you're going, and then you sort of say, wow, you know, that person's really driving erratic. You know, maybe there's a family emergency.
You look at it from a different light then, of course.
Maybe,
he's left the cooker on or something.
Something really bad's happened. You know, and then you could sort of respond. You can still toot your horn to say, look, be careful, you're in my road, but you're not going all this anger and... You're not changing the situation. You're not telling that person's not going to undo them cutting in front of you.
You're responding though, rather than reacting, as you say. Yeah, I totally get that, and like I've been there myself, and I've been, you know, like mad road rage, and then like anything, like, you know, you could be in the co-op queue and you could be having to, like, you've got somewhere to be and the queue's big and someone's bugging about with scratch cards and everything, and you're just like, you're just about to explode, you know. And then you're just like, I can't change the situation. I cannot, no matter how highly fired I get, I can't change the situation, you know. And I think that's probably just through the meditation and through the practices that we do that you get to that point, you know. And I think, do you know if you get people now that are kind of like, a lot of younger ones, I think like depression and anxiety seems to be spoken about a lot more in the younger ones. Do you think like a simple method, like a one breathing technique, could almost help them? Like, you don't have to be a full blown to mank to master, you know. If someone's feeling a bit flustered, just show them a breathing technique, you know, and something like that could just kind of...
Exactly, you know, there are so many helpful apps and different things out there, so many teachers. You can learn a technique and it will help you to a point, and it's always then, if you've improved your situation to that point, you're a bit better off. And then it's like anything else. When you realise that was helpful, you go, hey, that really helped me. I'm ready to invest a little bit more time. Teach me a second technique. Teach me another bit and another bit. And then you keep getting more and more benefits.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's just a kind of snowball effect from there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I mean, I didn't go, I had a tragedy and then I went, now I do yoga, now I do meditation, now I do, cold water swimming, now I do, that was, what did I say, it was 22 years ago. 22 years ago I started investigating. 22 years on, I wouldn't put my hand up to go through an experience like that again, but I would not want to give back the learning I've had in the last 22 years, because for me my life is really, it's amazing for living in the Highlands of Scotland and this our wee village of Aurora. It's a pretty spot on life, I have a really, really fulfilling life.
Did you know from back then, did you know you got to a certain point you're like, this is my career, is what I want to do, I'm going to teach, it's almost a collective, it's like wellness, don't you, because great diet, yoga, meditation, it's a bit of everything,
do you know what the funniest thing is, Scott? If I can tell you this, if you ever had asked me 22 years ago, tell me one thing you will never be, I would have said, I'll tell you this, I will never ever will I be a yoga teacher.
Oh, really?
Honestly, because I was so stiff. I mean, my physical body, I had so many problems from having birth with Anna and injuries from before that. I had quite serious back and knee problems. And
oh, really?
Yeah. And so, it's so funny, I got into it because of the hair and that, but wow, my physical body, my health, physical and mental, is 1,000 times better than it's ever been in my whole life. Every year I age, it's really funny, but every year I get older, I go, wow, I feel even better this year.
Oh, that's amazing.
It just gets better.
You're so lucky to have that, because a lot of people kind of go the other way, but why can they not do it,
And here's the thing, Scott, it's all the most basic, the most simple practices. It's not you have to go and study to be a brain surgeon and work through your brain and make all these huge big changes. This is the most interesting bit. It's really, really small steps,
changes,
but they're consistent, done over and over again. And it's just mind-boggling what we can actually achieve for ourselves.
From something so simple, Do you think, would you recommend yoga to people that are maybe struggling mentally? Do you think it can help? It's a release almost, or? Definitely.
I mean, honestly, absolutely. Again, I would say, I don't know, percentage, 95% of people that come to yoga will come because they've got a physical problem. And off that, there's almost a unanimous thing that people say they appreciate how calm they feel.
Well, you do the meditation at the end, don't you? You do the breathing, and you had the sound bowl there last week and all that. So, it's not just, I seen a thing on the internet one day, it was ludicrous, Amanda, to be honest. And it was a guy, American guy, and he says, oh, have you ever wanted to learn yoga but without the spirituality? And you're just kind of doesn't really go hand in hand, does it?
No.
Yoga that's where it came from, sort of thing,
This is where we're at, I think, for everything, whether we're looking at yoga or I don't know, running, anything. It's there's so much choices and things out there, but specifically to yoga, it's great that so many more people are practicing, and there's YouTube and there's this app and that app. But sometimes it can be commercial yoga.
Seems to be
it's
getting that way sometimes,
yoga.
Doesn't it? Aye.
It's about what have you got matching,
how good you look,
good you look, and
who can do the best pose,
who can do the best, who can go the deepest into the posture. It's not about how deep you can go. It's about how can you breathe in that posture. That's the gauge. That's your gauge of success. That's your gauge of really working with the practice. So it doesn't matter where your starting point is, whether mental health problems, physical health problems.
It's going to benefit
you learn to breathe, I mean, it's just, yoga is about working with the mind.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people really don't understand that, but it's just, it absolutely. Do you know? I would say 100%. I can give that as a guarantee. It will 100% help your mental health.
So recommend people to get along to your class on a Thursday night.
Oh, definitely.
Good time to sell it, Amanda.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it's a good time, and it's also like certainly like my physical class is full up. I'm actually just going to have to go onto a waiting list or something.
That's great though. It's not a bad dilemma to have, is it?
I mean, it's fantastic. Certainly, the online classes, you know, there would be an availability, and it's really, again, it's how we adjust to the times. Now, I was asked before about doing an online class for students that's moved away but want to continue. And I was like, no, I wouldn't do online. I'm a real yoga teacher.
Yeah.
So I had to get my head round that, you know, and lose a little bit of, I don't know, of something. I am online, and I
started doing it online.
And I say to people, I don't sell myself as a professional online teacher, but what I say is I'm a teacher who's responded to this situation, and I've gone online.
Mm-hmm.
And for some students, they've said it's been a lifeline.
Really?
You know, like with the COVID and that, and not being able to get out, and they feel like
the house,
they've got a connection, and they've got their practice, and it's like, actually there's some advantages because you get a real live teacher. I'm recording it, so then you get to keep the recording. You can go over it again, you know, at home. But I do one-to-one Zooms with students at any time if they wish to discuss anything, so that when you're teaching, it's a sharing, it's a learning. It's not just a stick on a DVD, look at that, do the moves.
Just say I've done it, or I've done my yoga this morning. You rattle through it. You really got to try and come in and connect with what you're doing.
Exactly. How do you feel today? What I can do today is not maybe the practice I'll do tomorrow.
Of course. And I think too, like, you can make changes in your life that make a difference. You know, like what I've started doing is like in the morning I'll wake up, and what I used to do, my first thing would be pick up the phone. You know, wake up in the morning, just literally come around, phone, Instagram, whatever, you know. And now I've started, like, the only way I'm allowed to pick up my phone is if I do a meditation first. I can't get onto my phone to do a meditation, you know. And I put it like, I know it's not long, maybe not long for you, but like it's 8 minutes, you know, just because it's a morning thing, and it just gives you a chance to breathe and settle and relax. Then you get your phone, sort of thing. Same if you're sitting on the couch watching telly, pick up my phone. I don't need to pick up my phone. You know, it's not because some people will just they'll sit there with the laptop on, the TV on, the phone on, scroll, and you just think that can't be good for you.
It's not good. It's not good. You know, you've got, if we start to understand, you know, if you take a photo with a camera and it goes click, 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 that's what your brain is doing, right? When you see an image flashing in front of you, your brain is going snapshot, 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 click, 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 click. And then it's got to decide, what do I do with that file? I keep it, I'll go back to it later. So it's all in there, it's all been stored. Yeah. So then when we like, right, go to bed, close my eyes. But this whole process is going, right, move that into that folder, dun 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 dun. There's this huge activity going on.
And how do you expect to sleep like that?
How do you expect to sleep? And then if you wake up still in that boom, 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 you're not resting.
And you're straight back on the phone now. You're not. Where are you getting your break from it? And like we're all guilty. There's nobody can really say it. They don't do that, you know. But too much of it is damaging, you know.
But the thing is, it's also, Scott, is about actually it's okay to do it if you understand you're making that as a choice. Yeah. But when you're doing these things and you don't even understand you're doing them,
of course,
unconsciously you're setting patterns and you don't even know what it's doing to your physical body, your mental health. Yeah. Whereas if you understand what you can choose, say, well, like, it's really important for me to see my Instagram first thing in the morning. So you say to yourself, okay, so I really want to look at it really quickly, but I'm not going to have it beside my bed. I'm going to have it, you know, in the kitchen or in the sitting room. So even that I've got to get up and I can breathe between my bed and that place of turning it on. Even then I could say, right, I'm going to have one conscious breath before I turn it on.
Yeah. Just little subtle changes like that.
Very subtle.
Yeah. Or just think, right, I'm going to go on my phone maybe I'll be on a bit long this morning. I might not feel great, but at least you're aware of what you're, you know, if you're just on it the whole time, you're like, oh, I feel rubbish, I feel depressed, and you're not even trying to figure out where it's coming from. Well, you're just on a hiding to nothing then, you're just going to drive yourself into a hole.
Absolutely.
I think well, for me personally, like the spiritual journey, the meditation, the yoga, the cold water exposure, all that, like it's changed my life. And I recently I've had a shite time of it, like the last month and a half, and I've recognised that, and I feel now like I've almost kind of not gone the wrong direction, but I've done it more externally than internally, and now I feel I have to go back to start again. But like, it's okay to go back, to go in reverse. You don't have to be up here on that high going forward the whole time. It's not a realistic expectation.
No, it's
is it
not
really?
possible. It's not possible for anybody. And the key is actually, like everything has been sold to us to keep us like really like, whoa, I'm having a great life, and it's all boom, 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 boom. But it's not possible. It's not possible to sustain that. And if you go up sharply, you've got to come down sharply.
Yeah.
So what you learn is to kind of have this flow in your life, and you do that from breathing.
Yeah.
You can really, literally, physically alter your chemistry by your breath.
Which brings me on to my next point, which is something we've been getting right into, is Wim Hof, his breathing and his cold water exposure. But like as I said to you just before we came on here, like last night I did the breathing and I did it that extensively that like I got, like I was saying to you, I got the tingle on that day, but you were saying it's not all about feeling that tingle in your body and being able to hold your breath. It's more about getting yourself ready for the stresses of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Those practices, and you can feel that tingle and you feel this high. That's not why you're doing it. You're not doing it for those sensations. You're doing it as a practice so that then you can cope throughout the day. So when stress comes on you, your body knows how to cope with it.
Right.
And you've got everything's working well. But it's not because of those sensations. Those are just a reaction in that moment. But the effects, even in that, like it's a 20-minute practice. So then you get the benefits for a whole day.
Yeah, you're not giving up much 20 minutes, are you, to have? I think it's been shown in studies that like it helps your lymphatic system, it helps your breathing, your immune system, your stress levels. Like as Wim Hof says, if cold water brings on stress, if we can't cope with stress and cold water brings on stress and we overcome the fear of cold water, well then you can overcome your stress.
Exactly.
You know,
and like I think there's a big misunderstanding about what stress is as well. We think of stress as just this emotional stress, but our physical bodies are under stress the whole time. When you have a thought, like going back to that email that wasn't done or that bank statement that's not pleasing, that's a stress, so you release the hormones. So the body has to process that hormones, but that is putting a stress on the physical internal body.
Right.
So whether it be your liver, your kidneys, your heart, all your organs. And when you do that, the breath shortens. And that again creates more stress, which creates more release of the hormones that we don't want too many of.
Right, okay.
So when you do this stress from the cold water, you release different hormones again to cope, and then you say, wow, the body's coping. And then it releases the endorphins, and you get the.
Then you get the
Oh, it's amazing.
I think he said it's something to do with, don't quote me on the ins and outs of the medical side, but it's something to do with your vessels, and like is it when you do the breathing, the lymph fluid gets forced through the vessels or something, and it allows more cells in to fight off like the bacteria and the stagnant fluid or something.
I wouldn't know how to respond exactly to that one, but I'll get a bit technical here, but certainly you get your veins will open or close depending on different practices. So you've got different blood flow. Different blood flow, you'd have different heartbeat rates, and we're beating too high, so we want to slow things down. But there would definitely be something to do with the lymphatic system for sure, yes.
And I think then that's when you're doing your breathing, like when you get into the water, then you're like, even we went out today in the loch, and like, most other people will go in there, and the second the toe hit the water, they'd be, it's cold, and it's in there too. You're telling yourself, like if I said to someone that's never done it before, I said, go and jump in that cold shower now, they'd be like, I can't do it. And straight away you've beaten yourself already, and then as soon as the cold water hits them, I can't do that, but like we went out tonight and we were halfway to the island, and we were both beetroot red, but like you feel it's fine. Like once
You
you
feel
get
fine.
out, and obviously you've been practicing it. Well, I got you onto the cold
You
water
got me
sports, but
into
then
this,
you've been doing
Scott,
more
yeah,
swimming,
yeah.
and you're keeping me right on how to do the swimming side of it now,
Yeah.
because obviously last time I just went and jumped straight in, and you were just like my life just went for it.
It's like, no, Scott, no, don't do that, don't do that. But look, it's like with the cold water, whether it's cold water swimming, or it's yoga, or whatever your practice is. For some people it's running, for some people dance. Dance is a fantastic practice. I really encourage dance. I'm on a dance workshop just now. Really great for free movement. It's about moving our bodies. And like, again, a lot of people associate exercise with sitting. I don't want to do, it's hard, it's this. But exercise is just about movement. And if you can put movement and breathing together in a way that's, a constructive way, this is the key to good health. This is the key. It's not so hard.
Yeah.
And once you get, like you say, for the cold water, you get your toe in the water, and you're like, oh, I can cope with that. And then you get your foot in, and you learn to adjust bit by bit, like everything else, step by step, and doing it with someone helping you along has got to be a good thing as well.
And like, it's incredibly, like, I find it quite therapeutic. Like tonight there, we were just out in the loch doing breaststroke, and it was raining, but it was deathly silent.
So nice.
You couldn't hear anything, and
nice.
you feel like the only person there. When you come out, you just get this absolute sense of just euphoria. As usually the endorphins are just doing 10 to the dozen, and you just feel like alive,
And the beauty for us up here is, like, we were in the loch, and I mean, we're looking up at them hills. We're looking at, there was blue sky, there was some clouds, there was the golds, the oranges, all the colours. That's all the senses of the body. So this is like deeper, that we'd start going a bit deeper with the yoga. We'd start to understand the touch, the sounds,
right,
the smells, the tastes, and the seeing, and these all influence us and affect us. And it's one thing I did want to throw in our conversation. It's what we listen to, whether it's music or people or movies, and or what we're watching, what we're eating, what we're smelling. It is all influencing our thoughts and our feelings.
Yeah. And the more work you do, I suppose, the more aware you come of that.
Exactly.
Aye, that's not a bad thing, yeah. And I think a lot of people are coming at stuff like that. A lot of people, you're seeing it now. A lot of people are becoming active. A lot of people are trying new things. And like, I know before the first night I went to yoga, like, I was shaking like a shitting dog. I was petrified, and it was predominantly females there. But like, I'd never done anything like that before. A couple of stretches before football was about the height of my.
Okay.
So
what was it that I was interested, what was it you were scared of?
Well, like, it sounds silly, but like, in my eyes it'd be there, and you would just say like to do a movement or a stretch, and I thought like it'll be just that, and it'll be kind of like whatever stretch you have to do. But then like it kind of started flowing into it, and you were like, what's it called? Chucking us or chicken?
Tricking us, no,
Tricking
triangle pose.
Aye, and like we were doing them, and then you were like, the way in your class, like, we flow through all the moves,
yeah,
and it just kind of like went into that, and I'm kind of like, I'm like this kind of elephant beside, like, looking at people beside me, looking at you, and I'm like way behind everyone else, and just because they had obviously been for so many weeks, and they kind of, like, even now I kind of know that flow to go through it, and you can kind of tinker with us and get it like the best what we can. But at the time I was just kind of like, you're like, close your eyes and flow through it, and I'm like this, like one eye open, like watching, and it's nervous, like any, but like fear is good, it's good to feel that fear. But yeah, I found it very nerve-wracking, but it's all right now.
But so that was, you were nervous in the class, but what was it making you nervous to come to the yoga?
Just because I didn't know. I didn't know.
The unknown.
It was the unknown. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like I've heard about yoga, and I know what yoga is, like from seeing it on TV and that, but I didn't have a clue. I didn't know the way you did the class. I didn't know what we did first, and
sure.
like that first night, being honest, the most comfortable part for me was the meditation. We had to lie in pure darkness at the end, so nobody could see me.
Yeah. But and then, like, that's the thing though, Scott. Look, I used to be really, honestly, super embarrassed to see people say, "What do you do?" And I'd be like, "I teach yoga." Like, what was that? I'm a yoga teacher, and I'd be like, I felt embarrassed because as soon as you say you're a yoga teacher, people have a certain expectation of what you could do. And like when they would come to class, I would be like, oh, they're in for a big surprise here tonight, because I've got like loads of physical limitations and I can't wrap my legs around my legs. But here's the thing, what it is, it doesn't matter.
No,
you're working with your body, and I totally am at ease with the fact that, like when I did my teacher training, almost the whole way through, I was the teacher who had to have the most modifications for the most postures.
Did you?
I physically couldn't do anywhere near as deep as what anyone else could do. But that was okay, because most people that are coming to class can't do it.
Well, you're there to learn.
You're there to learn, and it's like, and I'm like, hey, I understand.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can't touch your toes.
Yeah, and that's good. You're like that one, we should all be like that. But like, I've judged people, like I used to be quite bad for it, you know, and I wasn't aware of it. But now, like, I'm aware of it, and I wouldn't go into that class and be like, that person can't do as much as me, although I can do less than anyone in that class. But you know, you shouldn't. You're there to do what you can do.
You can, yeah. And
you know,
when you understand that yoga, I'll keep going back to yoga because this is, I guess,
that's what you do,
it's what I do.
Yeah.
It's like when you really understand yoga, it's just about breathing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Like, again, when I was on the teacher training course, I was the only teacher who didn't have any Sanskrit. So Sanskrit is the ancient language that they would have used. They say it's what all languages are based on. So say like down dog, it's Adho Mukha Svanasana.
Right, the other language
so
almost.
Yes, right. So if you hear an Indian person or another yoga person saying Adho Mukha Svanasana, it'll sound very different. I say my Sanskrit is with a healing twang, you know. This is a very unique pronunciation. In the beginning, I was really super worried, but then I was like, it doesn't matter. It's only a name. It's only a language.
You were worried because you didn't have that in class.
Yes, it's just, and then I was like, but I know about breathing, because, as I say, I never thought I was going to be doing yoga teaching. I had no intentions of being a yoga teacher except after the meditation thing, and then I did find a yoga teacher moved in. He was up in Rose Hall, and then I was travelling back and forth to Rose Hall to his class. Then he started a class down in Dornoch, and I went to him for about 2 years, so that's when I was in class. Now he announced this night, that's it, tonight's the last class, I'm moving away, and I was like, what? No way, I can't just move away, you cannot do that. What will I do without the class? And then I thought, well, we'll just carry on without the teacher. So at the end of class, I says to the rest of the people, I says, well, there was only about 6 of us. I says, well, let's just meet next week and we'll just do it ourselves.
Oh, and you decided to take it from
and
there?
And they were all like, oh, right, okay, let's do that. And I said, right, well, we'll have turnabout who goes up front. And they were like, oh, great idea, great. So they were like, well, who'll do next? I said, well, right, I'll do next week, and then we'll go through each having a turn. So next week, he was really good. He gave me some paperwork and sort of the postures he used. So I was like, right, let's just do this. End of class, they were going, oh, that was really good. That was just like Mick, you know.
No way.
I said, all right, great. I said, right, who's going next week? And of course, everybody was like,
aye.
Oh, you did a great job. You know, you carry on, and that's how I became. I had no intentions of being a yoga teacher.
Right.
But honestly, the benefits I've seen people in front of me having.
Seriously.
It is for everyone.
Yoga,
of every level. It will help. Just absolutely.
Highly recommend it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know that's like that's what I hope people get. Like I love when people get in touch and they ask for a bit of advice and like the cold water exposure, or say they want to try it, or like even I'm getting to the point now. I want to get comfortable enough to be able to take a meditation. You know, just like one person in here or 2 people in here, and just like I want people to kind of approach me and want to learn about it, because you get such a buzz. See, like if you do something with them, they're like, oh, I tried that and I really enjoyed it. You're like, oh, fantastic. You know, that's something different that they've not tried. You know, and you get buzz from that. But like I suppose the last couple of things, Amanda, what advice would you have for? I'm not saying young people, it's for anyone, and not even just up here. You know, we're lucky up here. We have the Highlands. We can go out and walk in hills and swim in lochs and all. But like for people that are maybe starting their mental health getting on top of them, like what advice would you have for them?
Well, you know, reach out, find someone that you can talk with, find someone that you can trust. You know, someone like yourself, Scott. You know, that's just like just light-hearted. You know, there's not one size fits all. It's going to be a different approach for different people. But you do want to look at how much like daylight exposure you're getting, how much hydration you're getting. Do you understand your breathing and how it affects your mental health? It's a combination of things.
Collective eye.
And also it's things about like connection and like your influences. So I took actually a couple of books along with me tonight that I would highly recommend, and these books are specifically, well, not specific, they're for anybody. Absolutely anybody can read these books, but they are so good for young people because they're written by young people.
Yeah.
And this generation that's coming through are having to face so much challenges that weren't there before.
A lot of challenges,
but also they have so many opportunities that were never there before. So the support is there, but it's just accessing it. But you can access it. Each one of us we're the master of our own ship. We are the captain. We sail in the direction we choose to sail. A really interesting thing that most people don't understand. When you have a thought, you have a nanosecond. It's a nanosecond. You choose to go with that thought or reject that thought. So you carry on thinking about it.
Create a story from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we got taught in the teacher meditation training. Like, you know, when you're not even meditating, any point of the day, thought comes into your head, and then you stick another thought on that, and another thought, and then it becomes a story, and then you convince yourself the story. Then you're feeling rubbish because you convinced the story. You can strip all that back to the second that thought comes into your head, and just be like, nah, not into that. And like you learn, you don't worry about yesterday, you don't worry about tomorrow. You live like right here, right now. You know, and I've always had a mind that goes 2 billion mile an hour. You know, thinking about 100 different things. And slowly through this, like it's coming out, it's still busy, obviously, you don't just wipe it out, but I'm getting on top of it, you know, like little things when you're walking on the beach, you're thinking about something, you're like, just listen to the waves, just watch that cloud going past, just live, you're walking your dog on the beach, that's all you're doing.
And that's by practice, isn't it,
It's
Scott? It isn't that you read it, you were told it, so then you went and did it.
It doesn't work like that,
No,
it's practice, you know.
You just keep at it, and you've had mentors, you've had people that help you, giving you pointers.
But one of the main things, Amanda, I've accepted and I've wanted it. I've not just thought, oh, bag it, I'll try it, and I've wanted to change my life, you know. And like a few folk have said to me, like, oh, I tried meditation once, but I couldn't do it. I'm like, it doesn't really work like that. You don't just do a kind of meditation, you don't get into it, so you quit it. It's practice. It's like anything, you know. You just practice it, and like yourself, you've been like probably 22 years at it. The Brett guy that we follow, he's about 30 years at it, and it just doesn't happen overnight, you know, and it depends how much you want it. But if you don't have, say, 8 minutes a day to meditate, well, I don't think your mental health maybe means that much to you, because if it really did, you would want the changes to make the difference, do you know?
Definitely. It's like how you invest your time. If you know, if you're saying your day is too busy to meditate, the first thing you need to do is meditate, because if your day is that busy, you're going to get it back. You're going to get the time back, because you're going to think clearer. You're going to make better decisions.
Create space for you in your day.
You're going to create space, exactly. Yeah. You're going to create space.
Yeah, exactly. And what was the books?
Okay, so the books. The first one is Johann Hari, Lost Connections. Oh. Now this guy was
Why You're Depressed and How to Find Hope.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
He was put on antidepressants at a very young age, because he went to his doctor and he said, you're depressed, on antidepressants. So this book is all about his life then on antidepressants, and it's about pharmaceuticals and how actually they don't work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and actually they create their own problems. There are times where it is appropriate, obviously, to take medications when you need to stabilise a situation, but long term they create more problems than they very rarely fix any. So Lost Connections is about how to help yourself, basically. Nice. And it's about connecting with others, and it's about finding your purpose. And for different people, the purpose is different. You know, for some people, they really want to be a rocket scientist, or they want to work in NASA and fly to the moon. And for some people, it's that they want to be like a really good home carer. Some people want to be a really good joiner. Some people want to be a teacher, whether that's in a school or in with art. Everyone's different, but you've got to kind of find doing something that you really enjoy. and that's what that book's about. Really,
amazing. Aye,
really
sounds
recommend
good,
that
aye.
one. And the other book, like, so he's right in the moment just now.
Oh,
His
I heard a
name's,
lot about
yeah,
him on that
he's
book.
he's all over Facebook. He's all
Beautiful,
over.
isn't he?
So he's a good-looking fella, isn't he? He's
Yeah,
easy
he
on
is,
the
good
eye.
eyes, aye.
Lovely. He's all over, you know, all the platforms. But he's think like a monk, and he really encapsulates everything that we've talked about today very beautifully. He breaks things down, and it's just worth a really good read. It's really easy to understand. It's quite fun reading it. I've recommended this book to quite a few folks, and
Really?
the feedback is consistently the same.
Good.
Everybody from whatever walk is enjoying this book. Really easy to read.
Oh, really?
It's not difficult.
I've
and he
watched a few of his
touches-
podcasts, and he's very easy to listen to. Like,
Very
he just
easy.
kind of draws you in, doesn't he? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Hopefully a few folk will go out and buy that book. But oh well, that's great, Amanda. We got through that pretty good.
Yeah, we did all right, Scott. And it's like, well, the nice thing, maybe just to throw in at the end, is that we're locals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're locals, born and bred here, and we didn't have to go to India to learn yoga.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't have to go to Asia to learn meditation. It's all accessible,
Yeah.
and it's
anywhere.
all adaptable to this Western modern lifestyle.
Mhm.
And again, I go back to that sort of thing of whatever our belief is for this life, next life, religious, whatever, it's sort of irrelevant. In fact, we're in this life right now once.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
absolutely down to us to live it in a way that we enjoy.
Yeah, of course.
And if we're not enjoying it, we have the ability to change
You
it.
can change it, aye. And that's what you need to drum into people, because like I said it numerous times, you don't get to lie in your deathbed and then be like, oh, I think I'll go back and live between 2015 and 2025. You just don't get it. Once that's gone, that's gone, you know. And that's why, like, in this life you think, oh, I hate my job, can't be arsed in my car, I can't be bored with this, or unhappy in my relationship. Go and change it.
Yeah.
There's nobody stopping you. Only you are stopping yourself, you know. And that's why you just need to wake up one day just right. Well,
And
maybe
even-
not that's
Well, and even if you wake up one day and say, right, today I'm going to say, my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drink a glass of water. I'm going to do that every day for a week. I'm telling you, at the end of the week, just that one change, it will make a difference. And for
Yeah.
then you're going to say, right, I'm going to drink one glass of water and I'm going to do 3-minute breath work. So now you're
just add the eye.
odd, just teeny little steps. And it's so doable, and it just brings a lot
It's
of...
simple, subtle changes. Instead of waking up in the morning, the first thing you say to yourself is, can't be bothered with my job today. Just wake up and think, I'm going to smash my day today.
Yeah.
Then get a glass of water, do your meditation. It's just little changes and build it up, you know. So
Yeah.
that's great.
A local fella, Donald McNaughton, he was a footballer, wasn't he? And I went to a thing on his, and he said one of his things was, we overestimate what we can do in 3 days and we underestimate what we can do in 3 years.
Jesus.
That's
Very true,
really,
isn't
I
it?
really
Aye.
like that. And it's like, so sometimes you think, oh, I've got to make these huge changes to my life so that I'll be happy. Nothing doing. Make these teeny changes, and after a period of time you will see huge
You'll
changes
see the
in your
big
life.
changes, aye.
Don't try and make huge changes in your life. Just try and make little steps, and it will become
Aye.
big strides.
Yeah, and believe in it too, the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Manifest it, you know, you've got to believe in it. Like,
Yeah.
no point telling yourself, I'll never do this, I'll never do that, and then moaning when it doesn't happen. You know, tell yourself, yeah, I will do that. You know, I want to get to the top, I'll go to the top. I'll go bigger than the top,
Exactly.
you know.
And if people really want to improve their mental health, just listen to Acorns to Oak Trees.
Acorns To Oak Trees podcast, that's the one. Well done, Amanda.
Cheers, Scott.
Smashed it.
Cheers.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Oh well, thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed the podcast, is it like and subscribe to the YouTube channel? I think, I don't know, it's something like that anyway, but we'll leave the links in the video. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
If you liked what you've seen, please like the video. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks.